Okay, you are all welcome, everyone. Nice to know that you are here, and we're expecting more people to join us to talk about something that has actually broken the internet. I'll say it's gone viral for wrong reasons, and that is the case of Osinach. I will be you're welcome, everyone joining. I have two guests with me, E and T, and they are actually survivors. Actually, I don't want to use victims. They're not victims. They were, but they are survivors of domestic violence. And they are here to share their story with us of why people, why victims stay when they know their lives are at risk. Why do people stay? There's so many reasons, there's so many theories out there of why people stay. We want to hear firsthand information from these people who have gone through it, and they are alive to tell the story. Alive to tell the story. But before we go, I want us to listen to this person whose story has actually um brought the reason why we are doing this today, and that is Osinach. She's no longer here with us on earth, unfortunately, but listen just a little bit about what her voice is like, and tell us what you think. Yeah, because it's that is Sinach. I mean, sorry, not Sinach. Oh, Sinach. Oh, Sinach. Oh, Sinach. Oh, Sinach. And she's no longer here on earth because of what she went through in the hands of, well, allegedly went through in the hands of her husband. And that man has been arrested. And now that has sparked an awareness for what exactly is domestic violence. Why do people go through it? How do people go through it? What exactly is domestic violence? I won't be doing much talking today because I have survivors who will be telling us about what domestic violence is. And it's all in different forms, different sizes, different ways. It might not just be physical, it might not just be emotional, different ways, it could be financial, it could be different, it could be in different things to different people. So I would like to open the floor to um, E and T. They're here to tell us what exactly is domestic violence. And for those who are just joining us, please write your comments, send your questions on the screen, and let us learn together. Because I really want to know what exactly domestic violence is and how to help people who are going through it, who have put us in their circle of friends that they are talking to us about it. What can we do? All right. So over to you. Can you share first of all, tell us what domestic violence is and how it has affected you. T, before I call E. T, can you please tell
Yes.
us what
Okay.
exactly it is?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Oh, okay. My understanding of domestic violence is basically where you have more than one or two people living together, whether they're married or not, and one is being bullied
Mm.
by the other. But it comes in different. You might be going through domestic violence and you don't know.
Mm.
Because now I'm a silent. I'm a foot soldier of any form of domestic violence. I'm a foot soldier. I've literally helped people. Well, one way or the other. That was why. For me, when we were discussing yesterday, and you said Obey song says Emma Darcy, and I said no, you can Darcy, but how you go up Darcy, sorry, let me go English. Darcy means to intervene. There's a Yoruba song that says, well, she was quoting a Yoruba song that says, you don't intervene in husband and wife matters. And I said, no, you can intervene. How you intervene matters.
Mm.
Some people might be going through domestic violence and they don't even know, because an aggressor sometimes they're narcissist. And when you are dealing with a narcissist, he would manipulate you to the point that I mean, I went through it, and thank God for my background. Thank God I my parents had very good marriage. So the moment mine was up, initially I didn't think it was abuse. Then later, you start to psychoanalyze yourself. You're second guessing yourself. And because I was an extrovert, so anytime we had issues and I had to go back to people, I mean, if I'm relating, you're trying to express yourself, and people will be like, we're going to beg you. All those kind of, when you're being told that you are the troublemaker,
Forward.
Meanwhile, the aggressor, it's my reaction people see. They don't see what he's doing underneath. You understand? It took
Mm.
a while. He actually took my mom's cousin when I gave birth, when she came to help me with in the UK you don't have childcare. So she was around in the UK then. So she came like as my mom's representative. When she saw what was happening, she had to call my parents and tell them that, listen, T is not the problem. The guy is the problem. So sometimes you're going through domestic. Don't worry, I'll keep coming in and out of my discussion with my personal experience and what
Yeah.
I feel about it. People you might be going through it and you don't even know you're going through it. If you're dealing with somebody who is very manipulative, you'll be going through it and you're not even aware that you're going through it, because it comes in different sides. It might not be physical, it could be financial, it could be emotional, it could be some people are so controlling. But at the end of the day, I would always say, because since I'm sorry to say, I know I'm not a Christian, I'm a Muslim, but I'm a human being first before religion. I am numb to that woman's death. That's Sinach, Abiel Sinach. I didn't know her. Well, I knew her song, but I didn't know her, as a person until she died. But I knew that song, Ekweme. I know the song.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so pissed at her. Yes, she's dead. I am pissed at her because I don't know how how can you give control to a human being to that level? To the level, how can another human being have that much control over you as a human being? That's my question. I had a cousin. I have a cousin who was going through it. The moment she told me, I said to him, listen, the only difference between your partner and mine is that mine was physical, yours wasn't. But everything he's doing to you is abusing you. I need to put a stop to it. But I didn't come out rightly. That's why I said it depends on how you intervene. I didn't outrightly tell her you have to leave him. That is her decision. Mine was to tell her that, listen, what this guy is doing to you is not right. That it was purely her decision to leave. But I told her that I'll be there for her. because support matters as well. That's why if I see anybody going through things like that, I'm always very available to talk, and I'm always very expressive. I tell them even things I'm not supposed to say. I will tell you so that you can learn. I'm not telling you as a gist. I'm telling you because I want you to pick something from it. Don't fall. Year in, year out, we have this case. Year in, year out, there's always one case that goes viral. I don't know. So I know I know there are a lot of women that have low self-esteem, because that's what I'll class that Osinachi's own. And then societal pressure, religion. People are they've been so brainwashed, or they're so complacent to the extent that the pastor or their imams or whatever thinks for them. Why would somebody lay their hands on you and somebody is telling you to pray? I mean, I need to speak Yoruba. Adura yin o le gba. How can a human being, a fellow human being, beating you, meting out so much aggression and punishment on you, and you're fasting and praying? Yes, I fasted and prayed as well when I was going through it. In fact, Bumi, you're in the UK. You can relate more. I don't know if everybody on the platform is in UK, but I was talking of I had a baby. I had a newborn baby with me. I didn't have papers. I wasn't working. This guy would beat the living daylight out of me. It got to the point that he wasn't buying food. In UK, I was eating my son's Cerelac. In the UK. It got to the point that at that time, the exchange rate was 250 naira to a pound. Because initially I didn't speak out. So I was, I thought I could redeem the situation, that I was the problem. Like I told you, I was second guessing myself, If he says, he will tell me, fine, dirty, monjeste, you can't cook, you're not pretty, you don't do this, you're dirty. In fact, there was the day he told one of my cousins, that one came to our house because she was like, I'm tired of this banter that I'm hearing about you guys. So she came. It was her mom that came to do the omugo for me. So she came and she called him and said, listen, what is the problem? When he mentioned that she's not fashionable, my cousin had to say, she's our go-to. She's our fashion go-to in the family. Now, what do you mean? In fact, she's the one that takes me around to shop when I'm in the UK. So I don't understand what you're saying. But, when somebody's a narcissist, he was able to, at some point, he convincingly, he convincingly confused her. So she was like, okay, why don't you take her? Why don't you go and shop for her? That was when she knew this guy is a stupid man. If you're not happy with what she puts on or how she dresses, why don't you shop for her so that she will know what to buy? And then when he started from there, she can't cook, she's dirty. And then everybody kept asking him, so who cleans the house? So this food you're eating, who cooks it? You understand? So it got to the point that initially I wasn't saying anything. Then later I couldn't bear it anymore. I had to start talking. So when it got to my parents, my parents and my siblings were sending money from Nigeria. I was getting £1,000 every month. You know what that means? I'm talking of 2008, 2009, 2010. They had to be sending me money until I was able to find my feet. I had to go and look for. Okay, I left. I was still telling someone today that I cannot endure as much as people endure domestic violence. We were together when my son was born. By the time my son was 18 months, I had packed my loads. Because I had done, when you've done everything by the books, I fasted, I prayed, I cried, I would wake up in the middle of the night, calling God. I prayed. I was actually saying my 5 daily prayers. I would wake up at 1 a.m. I'll be crying unto God. And one day, it just struck me. Something just said to me that, listen, and my mom will always tell you that, listen, when you pray, there's a personal joke within my family. When you say Ya Allah is God, you do Ya said, that means you walk. After saying your prayers, then you have to work towards achieving those prayers. And then Ya Allah, you speak out. So I had prayed. I was working hard to change, to change the things. It was from one complaint to the other. It was never enough. It was one complaint to the other. So I got tired. I even got tired of talking to God about him.
Hmm.
So after
Okay.
a while, I just thought, you know what? I need to leave.
Hmm.
Fortunately, well, I didn't leave. He beat me. He beat me. And when he was beating me, my son was a year and January, August, I think a year and 17 months. I saw him running on the corridor and he was crying. I could see the fear in him.
Hmm.
And at that point, I decided my son will never witness this again.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this was 11 p.m. at night.
Wow.
Bumi, I was living in Dagenham. I had to, no, we're living in Rainham. I had to take him to a registered minder. I wasn't working. I went to bargain £250 per week because I was scared to leave my son for an unregistered minder.
Wow.
So
Hmm.
I didn't know how it was going to happen. I had gold then. That till today, I don't have gold jewelry because of that, because I had to be pawning my gold. So
Hmm.
I knew I had a backup, you understand? So I went to negotiate £250, signed the contract. I went to drop him with that registered minder at about 11:30. Then I made my way to my cousin's house in Deptford. So I started looking for, papers. I went to do training, to do care and all that. So I was able to kind of, it took a big, it was very hard. I've moved past it now, but it
Hmm.
was, every time I remember, is I
It's
don't know how to
emotional,
say it, but
maybe.
it feels like a stab in your heart because
Hmm.
when you didn't plan for something,
Yes.
what I bargained for was not what I got.
Hmm.
I was homeless in this country for 4 years with a child. I had to leave. It was hell. When I mean hell, I went through hell and back.
Hmm. I was almost asking, in all of that, did you not involve the police at some point?
Ah, okay. You see, my
Okay, wait.
people perish for lack of knowledge.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that because I want to keep the hype up. So we will ask. I'll ask you later. What did you do to involve the authorities? But before I ask you, let me ask E. E, what is your experience? What is it? Is it almost the same thing, or is it a different kettle of fish entirely?
I think it's nearly the same because she's mentioned a lot, so I can relate. So
Hmm.
it's all about control.
Hmm.
Someone telling you what to do. Not like, I mean, telling you what to do is not bad, but when someone is controlling you, who you talk to, who
Hmm.
you speak to, where you can go, where you cannot go. So
Hmm.
that control over your life, what you wear, that color doesn't sit you. So I think I'll just give, let me just, because she's defined what domestic violence, so I would not go into that again. So just to, I will just give scenarios because, okay, when we got engaged, like, okay, I think had the traditional, the dowry paid. So from then, I was meant to serve in Nigeria to do my, what you could say, NYSC.
Yeah.
And this man said, no, don't serve. And then I remember telling my pastor, because I know the people place so much priority, even though you're going to the UK, make sure you serve,
Hmm.
so, but this man was like, no, you're not going to serve. After all, you're coming to the UK, what you want. But I wanted it. But, when he just like, no, 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 are you not going to listen to me? And I just mentioned it briefly to my pastor. Then, like, oh, I really would have loved to serve. My pastor, forget Nigeria. What's in Nigeria? Are you not going to the UK? You be a British citizen. What would you use this? I'm like, okay, so, but and these are now the red flags I'm not picking. Tell you what to do. And I remember we went to Abuja, and I went to process my visa. And I remember my pastor, normally, I was very close to my pastor. I grew up in my church, and I was like, oh, my pastor was calling. And this man was like, don't pick his call. Don't pick his call. I'm like, oh, it's pastor, like, this is our pastor. It's like, no, don't pick. And sincerely, and then my pastor was worried because he knew I had traveled to Abuja. He just wanted to find out if I had arrived safely. And like joke, I just felt okay, but I felt uncomfortable, but I put up with it. I like, okay, but I was like, okay, maybe this is how, because I was not really, I was in a relationship before at school, university, but it wasn't much, like deep. So, and that's probably my first relationship. So I wasn't used to relationships. I was like, okay, maybe this is how it is. Okay, so I'll give another example. So I got my visa, and ideally I was meant to tell the sisters. The sisters were like big sisters to me. And surprisingly, he was like, no, don't tell them. And I, oh, really? He said, don't worry. When it's time, I will let you know when you tell them. So I respected that. Okay, maybe he just wanted us to keep it for a while, and then later we would explain. I would tell them. I had like 5 days to come to the UK. And I was like, wait, I need to tell your family. It doesn't look well if I just get into the airport, come to the UK without telling them, don't worry, I'll let you know. I said, but it's how many days I'm coming to the UK, not knowing this man has told his family. I was like, so by the time I called, I think like a day, that night, 2 nights before, I was like, you know what, I won't listen to this man this time. I became a rebel. Let me just call them. And when I called, the sister was just like, woo, we know long time ago since you had the visa. And I could not understand why the person I love, the person I married, did not want me to tell this. I'm going straight to examples. I don't want to start mentioning what, but these were red flags. But I don't understand. And then get to the UK, this man would tell me who to greet, who not to greet, who to say hello to. I don't want to go into the beatings. Anyone who knows me very well know I'm not a multi person. I'm like, T said, she's the extrovert. Me, I'm the introvert. And I get scared easily. In fact, if you tell me sit down, I will sit down. I was that kind of person. When they say I don't get liver, I didn't have liver at all. I was that scary person. So when I came, and then I used to call my pastor, like, Pastor, I don't understand. I call him daddy. This man tells me what. Even remember when we had to start this fellowship, our UCU, alumni. This man said, where are you going to? You're not going anywhere. University days are gone. You need to stop both men and women. So it's not like only the brothers. So even the sister, you need to stop. Nothing to do with that. Look at me. I have all my university people have nothing to do with it. You move on. Hey. So you have to move on. So I had this control of who to greet. And then the big beating came when I had to greet a neighbor. I didn't even greet her. I did not greet her because he has warned me not to greet them. So like the good girl would always want to listen. But unfortunately that day I was taking my daughters upstairs, and this lady said, how are you? How my children? Thank God. And this man was coming from downstairs to come and help me pick things downstairs. I got my heart to just skip. But I couldn't just say no to the lady. I just like, I'm fine, man, But as soon as I got upstairs, I got the beating of my life. That's about the third beating. I don't want to go into other beating. That in fact, one of them, my pastor, so I had to run to my pastor. In fact, my face was double. They were shouting and screaming because this person is a big worker in the church. He's a leader of, like a department and everything. I had so much beating, but that particular one led to the police because because my children were involved. They had some mark on their body by mistake. So, and then this man even made a fool of me. Like, you know what? If you're bold enough, he threw the phone at me. He said, call the police if you can. And I didn't want to. But because he threw it, I said, okay, since you gave me the phone, I will call them. And that's how the police came. They even called the ambulance because my head, they had to take me to. But now I went through a lot of this. But did I want to leave? No, I wanted to. What will people say? In fact, then I was speaking to my pastor in Nigeria. You are there for a reason. God put you there for a reason. He doesn't know what he's doing. There is a family background. That is why God brought you here to help. Yeah. So that I will die and all that.
Hey, Jesus.
In fact, there's so many children benefit when I'm giving birth. Sister Bumi, told you that when I'm giving birth, this man puts his account. I never get the children benefit. Everything goes to him. And at a point, you remember, Sister Bumi, you visited me. I was like, well, these children Do you now? You were like, no, either you or your husband, I know you collect it. This thing, everything goes to him. Then I was working, he wasn't working. The child tax, everything goes to his account. I don't even know where to, like how to go. Then also when I came, like, don't call your mom. I'm the only child of my mom, so you don't have to call your mom. You call your mom once a month. You call your pastor once a month. So there was this. I was being ordered how to live my life. Why are you wearing green? You think you're a white person. It's only Oyibo people who wear. Why are you wearing this green? So I don't have to wear that green dress. I have to look for something else. If I wear something, you're too thin. It doesn't fit you. You look lanky. Why are you wearing? So it's like I was building my life. There's a control over my life. Anyway, I would stop here. So, but if you want to ask any question, but
yeah, wow. It's, in fact, I know there's so much to say, so much to say. Now, I would like us to, before we go ahead to asking E, how did you involve the police? The question I was asking, did you involve the police? Before we do that, I want to share a video I saw about someone. I don't want to say before I want to show it first. And even though it's 10 seconds, but it's that is it, throwing a baby like a doll.
Jesus Christ.
And we say those kind of women should remain in that kind of relationship. I remember, okay, I don't want to say, like I said, it's not my turn to talk today. It's the survivors who are talking. And please, if you've got questions, you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, just please write your questions. But for those on Facebook, I would like you to come over to YouTube because I'll be stopping Facebook very soon. So, E, what was your experience with involving the authorities?
Okay, it was really hard for me. I had to.
Did I say E? Sorry, I meant T. Sorry, I'll come to you, E.
Okay,
T. I meant T. What was your involvement of the authorities? At what point did you involve the authorities? Because we're in the UK. If it was outside, I don't want to say in Nigeria or in Africa, or if it was somewhere where you could get away with it, we know there could be fear of all of that. But in the UK, even neighbors will hear it and be the ones to call. How did you cope with that situation, T?
Let me first of all, in response to your question, my people perish for lack of knowledge. First of all. Second of all, the moment my parents knew, because there have been times where, okay, let me give you an instance. There was a day, my son, he wasn't even up to a year. He broke the home theater. His son, our son, broke the home theater. This guy called my dad, and he when someone talks, when you're talking to an adult without any respect, nothing. And he got to a point, my dad had to tell him, after everything he had said, my dad waited for him to finish his conversation. And my dad said, ọmọ èèyàn ńlá mà ní Táyé, ní Tí, ọmọ olówó mà ní, pé mo máa fowó tọ́ ọmọ mi. My dad had to respond that, listen, I'm a rich man. My daughter is from a rich home. Look at the way you're talking about her. I trained her. Who did you say spoiled the home theater again? My dad asked him, and he responded. And after that incident, my parents, especially my mom, would tell me, the moment he starts his madness, go and lock yourself in the toilet. Do not let that guy lay his fingers on you. That if you die, in Yoruba language, that he's going to, my mom was like, it's either you die or he leaves you disabled. If you die, 1,000,001 women will step on your grave and desecrate your grave. And if he disables you, he's going to come home with a beauty queen. So every time he started his madness, see, there was a day right in front of my friend, my first Mother's Day, he was hitting me. I gave birth to my son through cesarean. That was in January. In March, he was hitting the cesarean section site with a metal toilet roll holder. You see, a friend of mine, his friend's wife was supposed to stay over for the weekend. That girl was so traumatized that she had to go. She was crying that she has never seen such level of violence. So I think I only allowed him to hit me about 3 times. And that's because, when you're really fed up, when you've been pushed to the wall, So every time he wanted to lash out, I was quick to, run away and go and lock myself up. So it never got, so bad. But having said that, I didn't know, because after I had left him and I was trying to regularize my stay, every lawyer I went to, they kept cursing me that you're stupid. Somebody has been hitting you from when you were pregnant. I never thought of calling the authorities. It would have been a walk in the park for you to get your papers. I was not aware.
Not being aware.
And I was scared that if I should call the police, because I didn't know that the body that regulates one's papers is different from the police. You understand? So now, if I said, I'm always quick to one be by I'm always so quick to, because I didn't have that knowledge then. I was still kind of a fresh person. And, when you're a proper home girl, I kept thinking, if I call the police now, what will happen? You understand? So I never involved the authorities because I was unaware.
Thank you for shedding more light on that. So lack of information also keep people in the bondage of domestic violence, not knowing what to do and what not to do. And just like E said, I think both of you are on the same page. You didn't know. I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know, I could actually take that step. So now that takes us to our main focus of this discussion. Why do people remain? I have some points on the screen if you want to emphasize on any of them. The first one says the fear that the abuser's actions will become more violent and may become lethal if the victim attempts to leave. Then the second one says unsupportive friends and family. Which one was your case, E?
I think my case then was pastors. So it wasn't friends. I mean, because I knew I could call the police, but if it was a friend who had to push me to call solace, these people, they intervene for women. So I knew about the police, but I didn't want to use it because then pastors were like, no, it's a spiritual attack. You need to pray. So, so I was praying, fasting. So that was it. Like, and then also, I also have this mentality. I can never divorce. I've got with my children, it's something, God, I cannot think of it. I don't want to do it. So, and I know if I get the police, it will really escalate things. So, but anyway, somehow, I had the police got involved because when, I think after the first 3 beatings, when he threw the phone at me on one of the 4th beating, my neck has been strangled. Honestly, I escaped death.
Strangled.
Been strangled, strangled with a baby in my hand. How I was losing breath. Anyway, I won't even go into that. But the thing is, the problem I had was pastors. Those kept saying, no, you need to pray. But then, because he was moving from church to church, from church to church. We had a particular church we started from. I was still getting in touch with this pastor. And this pastor was like, you know what? That man is a sick man. You need to leave him. And then I was confused myself because my pastor from Nigeria, they were putting pressure. The wife, you need to pray. We will fast with you. They don't want to hear anything about this domestic. They don't care. It's just you have to pray. Maybe you're not praying enough and blah, blah, blah. Visions here and there. You go to any other church, the same thing. They keep telling, there is something disturbing the man. Something is affecting him. You need to be patient. God will do it. God will do it when? I was losing my mind. I would drive and have accident just anyhow. I would go to the bank, put my bank in the ATM, put my card in the machine. I would walk away. People would call me. I was not myself. I was losing it. In fact, at a time, the GP had to refer me to psychiatry and King's because I wasn't myself anymore. I was just losing my mind. So I knew about the police. So police were involved. And then it got to a time the police didn't want him in the house. They had to chase him out of the house. But again, people will come and speak to me from church. No, you have to bring him back. Oh, he brought you to the UK. Oh, I will go and bring it. He will come back again. You will think this man has turned a new leaf. He will start again. It was like there was no peace. There was no rest at all. But I knew the police, I think like 6 years into the marriage, police were involved. In fact, and his record was everywhere. So the police were involved. In fact, my present pastor had to push me. You must get the police involved. You cannot keep quiet. And another thing is listening to too many people, because we had so many people from Nigeria like pray, and then my pastor here in the UK is like, no, that man is sick. He needs help. Let him go sort himself. So I was confused. I was in between. And then what will the people say? Problem. So even when the police will give, like at a time he had what you call these he had this the name now where he can't come close to where I and the children are. But I will still bring this man inside her. Social workers will come unexpectedly looking for this man. We'll cover him with towel. You can see that. Because I kept hoping. I just kept hoping. Like pastors will say, God showed me this vision, things will change. So I was like, okay, but things, even it got to the extent where this man also had to beat my mother on top.
That's the height of it all.
And my children went to school, and there's somehow they were just telling the teachers, they were upset with the teachers. They say, if you do, I'm going to speak to my dad. He's going to beat you up the way he beat grandma up. When I went to pick my children from school, you said that the beating has been for a long time. When I went to pick my children from school, they didn't let me take them. They said this children said that your mom, your husband he's been beating you and your mom. I said, I lied though. I said, don't mind these children, they are lying. I lied on top of my children's head that they are just lying. Don't mind them, blah, blah. And if you see the beating, blood all over my mom, fan broken, keyboard broken on my mom's head, everything. I've got people, yes. And people were like, why were you still there? Because one pastor will come and pray and tell you God is one. We're just close to the breakthrough God wants to do. But the truth is, at the end of the day, even with the police involved, I was still hiding him. But he walked away. We were doing 21 days fast in church when this man packed his load and said he was leaving. And that was it.
So actually, you didn't take that step of leaving. He had to leave.
He left.
That means if he hadn't left, you would still have been there.
Possibly, because I just did not know how to leave. It's not. I wasn't looking for any. I got my job. I got my British passport. I got everything, but I was still hoping. I don't know. Now, that's what I've done this kind of interview where people say, but at what point is it until this man killed you before you would have left? I just did not. In fact, at the time, my pastor said, I think they're doing something on your head that you don't even know what is right anymore. Even at the point I'll look at, this pastor is not a good pastor. How can a pastor is supposed to be praying? Because I just kept hoping and I couldn't face. I couldn't see that divorce or separation. God forbid. I was like, no, that cannot be. I just cannot settle for this. So I'd rather die in this marriage rather than, But God in his own mercy, he knew this lady. If anything happens to you, who will take care of these children? I think God had mercy on me and made this man to leave. Because I've had enough. I had enough. I was like, you know what? I don't know. They will come and beg for this man again. Don't worry, things will be fine. They will say, pray together. They will give us strategies what to do. I kept trying and trying, but we'll go back to square one. It wasn't working. So when he left, a pastor told me, don't let him come back. Just leave him. Let him go from there. That's how he left from there.
Wow. Thank God I'm sure maybe prayers of people who loved you also chased him away, because
Honestly.
wow. That's, seeing that video of a man beating the woman and then throwing the child like a doll, like a rag doll, was like, can this be, is this not film trick? I couldn't just fathom it in my head. But you saying it now, that, there was almost very close to that, you experienced. Wow. Thank God for life, So, E, how is she still there? Oh, are you still there, E?
I'm here. Oh, is it T you want to speak to?
T, I mean T.
Sorry,
T,
I couldn't. The I don't know the volume, so I had to log out, log back in,
oh,
log
okay.
out and log in. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for remaining with us. Now, from your own perspective, what do you think people need? Well, have I asked? Actually, I haven't asked you what's out of the list here on the screen. Which of them do you think is the barrier to people not wanting to leave their relationship, the toxic relationship? Is there anyone here, or is there anything outside of the list we have on the screen that you can relate to?
I think well, the list is a part of it, but most of the time, I mean, it depends on the victim. Everything bothers on the victim, to be honest. Like is it E? Like she said, she didn't even leave. The guy left her. A lot of people. I've met so many people. Me, I'm a very strong-willed person, and one of the reasons I had issues with my partner, because years down the line, about 4 years ago, I actually went back to my parents to beg them that he wanted me back. And they asked him that, what did I do? And he said nothing, that he was the problem. You understand? I'm a very strong, he couldn't contain my ego. I'm strong-willed. It was quite unfortunate I found myself where I found myself. But like I told you, we had my son's birthday in January. August, I had left. No time to waste time. I don't have time for it's zero tolerance. But I found myself in a situation, in a no man's land. If we were in Nigeria, that would never have happened. But I found myself in a situation where I was jobless. I didn't have papers. I only arrived, we're talking of 5 years after I arrived into this country. So I was still very fresh to the system. You understand? This was a guy that literally was begging me to get married to him, and we got married and problems started. So I was very fresh to the system. I didn't understand how the system worked. It was part of the reason I didn't involve authorities. So first of all, like you said, knowledge is part of it. Secondly, the victim has to be ready and willing. If the person is not ready, you can talk from now till eternity.
Yeah. That's true.
They will not leave. Bumi, you are aware of one of our seniors that lost her life to this issue as well. It was a popular case. It broke the internet.
Really? I didn't.
Yes.
Didn't know about that. Oh, wow.
I can share the link of that person. It's a known case. It happened in Dublin. He broke the internet.
There wasn't maybe I wasn't SM at that. I wasn't social media compliant at that time.
Then it was Linda Ikeji. Linda Ikeji carried the story. It was a very popular case. Then we had to rely on people like Linda Ikeji, Naira Land, and all that. If you were very conversant with blogs, then I was very conversant. It was a popular case.
Wow.
Some people will not leave. You can talk from now till eternity.
Yes.
What I always say is, if you know anyone that is going through it, if you talk and they don't listen, just be there. Be the safety net. Be there. Wait for them. That turning point will come. Wait for them. If you see, when my friend I told you witnessed when he was hitting me, after I just given birth, she called my mom the next day. You can do stuff like that. She called my mom and she said, listen, do you know what your daughter is going through? She's married to a monster. I met him through her husband. And she had to introduce herself that your daughter met her husband through my husband, the childhood friend. But that guy is a monster. He's going to kill her. So you can be that support system. Don't witness somebody going through domestic violence and go and start using it as a gist.
No.
That Lagbaja, can you see? Hey, she's going through hell, blah blah blah. Don't. That's why people don't want to speak out. My so-called best friend then was the person that was spreading my stories for everybody who cared to listen. So if you are in a situation where you know about somebody's shortcomings in their marriage, be the help. Don't be the devil. This so-called best friend, my husband called her and was, when we're having issues, he even vowed and he succeeded. He said, if there's one thing I'm going to do in your life, I'm going to separate you and that girl. She's evil. We had an argument. He called her. Instead of the girl to even support me, she was the one that was, almost shini. Kiniko. Yes. So these are part of the reasons people don't want to speak out. Because they are scared that in these days of social media, somebody will go to Gist Lover and go and give them the story. So everything borders on the victim. The victim must be willing. Even if her mom comes, she will not leave. But me, if I have a child that is going through it, I'll go and pack. My cousin came to pack myself out of this man's house. It was the one that came begging. I was in and out 4 times within that 1.5 years that I stayed with him, that we lived together. The 4th time was when I left. That when he came back, unfortunately for him, by the time he came back, I had remarried. But I told him, I said, listen, even if you are the only man on earth, I will never come back to you. That your heart is evil. Your heart is soaked in evil. You say, I had to come to my room to do this show because I don't want my son to hear, because I'll be talking about his dad. The little is heard. My son, he called him about a few months ago. And after that call, my son said to me, Mom, I don't care what you tell him. You must never give me the phone. That he's a nasty piece of work. Yes. I said, why? He said, number 1, he broke up a family. Number 2, how are you even able to pick his call? I said, listen, I don't want to be a bitter person. It's been how many years now? You were not even 2 when I left him, and you're 15 now. So if I'm carrying that in my heart, I'll be a bitter person, and I don't want to be. So it's a lot of reasons, but the main clause is that person has to be ready to go. If she's not, that's what killed that woman that died over the weekend. She was not ready to go.
No.
And then people give too much control. How can you give so much control to a fellow human being to the point that you're the one singing, doing the work, and is the one getting the money? Lie, that one can never happen to me. Oh, I know what I can do and what I cannot do. That one can never happen to me. You can't have that much control over me. Only God can have that. Only God has that absolute control over me. The day my husband, that we decided that, okay, we're ready, I said to him that, listen, if you as much as shout at me, I'm gone. And I said one quote that my grandmother used to say, that the person who will marry 2 husbands will not marry 1. The one who will marry 3 will not marry 2. So if I try the 2nd time and it fails, I'm going to try the 3rd time until I get it right. So don't think you have that power that because our first marriage has failed, she will condone nonsense. That's the kind of ego I have. That's my person. So we need to start fortifying our children. You see, my son, I always tell him, never shout at a girl. Don't hold the girl. Sometimes when he's, we play around and he grips me so hard, I tell him, no, you don't do that to a girl. Even if you're playing, even if it's your girlfriend and you guys are being playful, you need to mind the way you You understand? We need to start talking to our girls to start
Yes.
fortifying them.
Yeah.
Fortify your son. Is your son a bully? Is he being bullied? It's a two-way traffic.
Yeah.
It is a two-way traffic. While
Like
you're
someone-
asking your son, are you being bullied? Ask your son, is he a bully as well? Or your daughter?
Like someone says on the chat here, Auntie Pat says, people who have been abused will eventually abuse others. You know, it will always happen because that's what they have learned, that's what they have seen, that's what they've grown up with. You know,
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Like I told you, the day I was being beaten and my son was running around crying, and I saw the fear in his eyes. It was just a year. It was not even two, about a year and 16 or 18 months. I can't remember. And you know that look, it's still imprinted in my memory. And I said, never again. He will never witness this. And that was my deal breaker. So, like I said, the victim has to be ready to leave.
yeah. I think who said that? Somebody said that too. Yeah. Yamisi says victims' readiness to take action when necessary is key. They will always excuse the abuser. That's it. Also, maybe it's because he has had a rough day. Oh, and maybe it's this, maybe spiritual problem. That spiritual problem, let him go and solve it first before coming to
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So
because I remember his parents trying to tell me that, I'm Muslim, he's Muslim, both families are Muslim. And the dad was telling me, and I looked at him. In fact, every time he reported me to my dad was my greatest supporter of blessed memory. I said to him, me, I'm your grandson's mother. So I will run around for my son. It is your wife's responsibility to run around for her son. It's not my own responsibility to be seeking spiritual solution for his habit and his rubbish behavior. The man said, oh, you're talking to me like that. I said, no disrespect, Dad. I'm the one he's beating. I'm the one going through it. If I was your daughter, I'm sure you won't be on that side of the fence. You won't be tying his bad behavior to spiritual attack. I'm not a rude person. I was so down to earth with them. When I left, they didn't call me. None of them called me until about 3 or 4 months after I'd left. And then he called me and he said, he was broke, that's his dad. That because he was broke, he didn't have money to call. And the first question I asked him, I said, Daddy, Emma Bino, but can I ask you, since the day I left your son's house, so have you not eaten since then? So you could not deny yourself of one meal to top up your phone and call when I have your grandson. I'm carrying your grandson, and he didn't meet me by the roadside. You guys went to my parents' house to ask for my hand in marriage. He fulfilled every Islamic rights over me. 10 years after, when they went to beg my parents, that's exactly what I said was what my dad told them. So everything borders on the individual. You have to be able to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
I found myself in no man's land, and I stood up for myself. I didn't care what the family, what they were. Initially, I was, being like, I was doing good girl. But I saw that my good girl was good. He kept, everything kept escalating because it wasn't immediately started beating me. It started from verbal. It started from actions, from verbal to he started being unfaithful, infidelity. If I questioned him, it was gradual. It's a gradual thing. That's why I said you go through domestic violence and you won't even know you're going through it. Sometimes it will take a third party to know that you're normal now. So
Thank you. Wow, there's so much to talk about. Thank you for those online. Helen, Yamisi, Auntie Pat, who else is online? Thank you very much for being there. Blessing Martin, thank you very much. If you've got any questions, please write in the chat below. Now, what will be your advice to people who are, I know after it was a blessing for you that that man left.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you looking back, I'm sure you'll be like, wow, I should have done this, I should have done that. What are those things you think would have been, or you can do, or what advice will you give someone who is actually going through it at the moment, and you think this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do? Can you please itemize them so that people who are going through this, who watch this video later, could actually take those steps? I'll come to you, T, as well.
Okay, as a Christian, sorry, I'm not being negative, but I am sorry to say that prayers would not help that man. Prayers would not change that man, because I thought prayers would change him. So I prayed and prayed. Prayers would, because it's an individual thing. They need to deal with it themselves. No matter how you pray, no matter how pastors pray for that person, it does not work until the man makes up his mind. Because even at the time when we had to go to court, they told him, the judge, they gave him, like, he needs to go through anger management. He refused everything. And I knew this man didn't see any problem. I wanted to take him to Pastor Lukoya's. Okay, let two of us go for help. So I'm not just saying you now. So I had to put myself as well. But he was never willing. So don't hang in an abusive relationship thinking he will change one day. He will never change. Please find your way. I don't like saying this. I don't support marriages breaking because mine is no more. But to save your life, I have been strangled many times. I could have died. And this man would still go ahead and marry other people. So if you're thinking, I'm just going to be praying for him, I'm sorry to disappoint you. The prayers don't work for someone who is abusive. That's one thing I would do. And then secondly, if you've got children, for the sake of your children, please leave. Because, and this was why the social workers were always on my neck, because they were so concerned for the children. I didn't understand. To be honest, I sincerely did not understand the negative effect it was having on my children. It was so vivid. It was, especially my son, who is autistic, he was so aggressive, and he was becoming more aggressive. But when the father left, he's calmer than any autistic child you think of now. And now I understand it. So I will advise, for the sake of the children, please leave, because it may not affect the children now. But when they grow up to be adults, to have their own family, they will it just comes automatically. It just affects them. They too will even be shocked. They're like, oh, this was exactly what my father or maybe my mother was doing. So for the sake of the children, please leave. For the safety of your own life, you cannot change them. They don't change. Even if they change for like a little, like maybe 1-2 months, they are fine. And then anything triggers them, they are back to themselves again. So you can't change them. If you see the traits, a man who is controlling you, telling you, like abusing you physically, even mentally, please find your way. That's just my advice. Yes, I would give to anyone, because it goes worse than you ever think. At the end of the day, you might run mad yourself, because I was nearly, in fact, at the time the GP had to refer me to the psychiatric, and had to be going to King's. You will get, just let me just give a quick example. I met a lady who came to, I needed to process, I work in a court, so I needed to process her application, and somehow she was telling me her story. She got like 4 children, and the man has taken the children over her. She has gone, she's a Ghanaian lady, she's gone crazy. She's now on medication, and the man believes and has gone to court to say she's not fit enough. She was under a domestic abuse. She kept quiet. Now she's mentally sick now, and they've taken the children off her, and the man made sure he cannot get access to the children because he believes she's got a mental problem. She was facing eviction at that time when she came to the court. And these are some of the things, and it takes years. These things, these mental breakdown might take a long time. And it's just sometimes you can't get back to yourself. Please take care of yourself mentally. If you're being down mentally, get out. That's all I would advise.
Yeah. Let me ask. So, do you think it's just in the day you have issues with someone who is domestically abusive, or how do I say when you're in a relationship with someone who is when you're in a toxic relationship, is it just in the day you feel, oh, this is not working, okay, let me go to bed, maybe I'll find some rest? What do you think in the night, in the day? I just want to know what the life is like 24/7. How is life like 24/7 for people? Because I know some have nightmares, some, the spiritual thing we're talking about, some even get I attacked, even spiritually. So you're sleeping, you're being attacked, you're awake, you're attacked physically. What is your experience, all both of you, E and T? So T first. Were you having nightmares? What was happening to you?
To be honest, while I was in that marriage, I was attacked spiritually because I think that was when I stopped the prayer.
Mm.
He had series of girls and he was a big spender because he had money. See, he was so wicked. When he came back to beg me, I said to him that, give me, if you can respond to this question, I will come back to you. He had papers. He never filed for my son. So I asked him, I said, listen, everybody that comes to the UK comes to break a generational, it's a breakthrough for that generation. You had papers. Why did you not file for him? Why did I have to wait for him to be 10 years old? If he had filed for him, we wouldn't have been homeless. I was homeless in this country for 4 years. He couldn't say a word. That was how mean he was. So I just want to show you the kind of person I was dealing with. And he had money. He was renting an apartment for girls. It was that bad. I would sleep at night and I would dream that, sometimes I would wake up and ask him. I didn't go through his phone. I stopped going through his phone. And I would just ask him, who is XYZ? Because I have that spiritual gift of, I hear things. If I say a prayer and I sleep, by the time I wake up, I will get a revelation. And it's not, it will be spoken into my ears. So I would ask him, who is XYZ? And he say, what are you talking about? Jenny, he would, But years down the line, he actually admitted that I was always on point, that he had to even be calling people in Nigeria if I was a witch. So I would wake up with cane marks on my body.
Wow.
Yes, I would wake up with cane marks on my body. There was a particular lady he got entangled with. And when you're beside your husband and he doesn't touch you, and he will wake up at 1 a.m., he will be shaking, vibrating, not shaking, he'll be vibrating. He has to go to that lady's house. Yes, it was that bad. So if you want to know, it was hell. You see the mental aspect he mentioned. I was on a bus, I was going somewhere, I was arguing with the bus driver. The bus driver was telling me I was on the wrong bus, and I was arguing with him. And he said, you know what? The guy now said, okay. I think he realized that something is not right with this. And my son was in the buggy. He was less than 6 months old there. I was frustrated. So the guy took me to the last garage. He actually went out of his way and now took me to the bus stop and said, stay here. The bus you want is the only bus that passes this route. So get on that bus and get off at XYZ. Those were some of the things I went through. There was a day I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know what happened to him that day. I think wherever he went to, they didn't allow him to touch them. He just came at me. That was the day I made sure we separated rooms. He just came, and the next thing, he was on me. And before I could say Jack Robinson, I had to go and because the moment I knew there was infidelity, even I stopped, because I didn't want to get any STIs. I had to go for tests to make sure I was fine. I woke up in the middle of the night and I went to get a knife. I wanted to kill him that night. My saving grace was my son. He woke up from his cot and he was looking at me, and I was raging. wanted to, when so some of the things I've heard that, oh, this person, there was a lady recently, I don't know if you heard about it, that killed her husband somewhere in Agege because another lady gave birth, had the baby for him outside of the marriage, and she stabbed the guy.
Oh yes.
I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
He broke the internet as well. It was just it happened in December.
Yeah.
I could relate at the rage that girl was going through, but she succumbed to her emotions. The moment my son woke up at that time, I just broke down. I was crying. And I woke him up. I said, don't ever come and sleep in this room. So that was the last time we slept in the same room. And as for night or day, me, I did not used to sleep at night. I used to wait. You see, 7 a.m., that my friend I said witnessed him when he was hitting me where I had my C-section. By 7 a.m., I was always in a house. It's when I get to a house that I sleep. There was no peace in the place I called my home. But I tried to stay with my friend because her husband and I, we went to the same uni. And I met my ex through him. So at some point he couldn't condone he wanted to accommodate me, and he started saying, my ex was saying all sorts. So the guy was like, well, I mean, he was helpless. So you see, when it was nighttime, because when I would be there from 7 a.m. till about maybe sometimes 9 p.m. because we lived in the same area. You see, every time I wanted to go back home, I used to be so sad. There was no happiness, no form of joy, so
24/7, so to say. There's no break.
Yes, even the only time I had peace, some weekends he would just go. He won't, because we got to the point that we were not calling each other anymore. I didn't have his number, my friend, he didn't have my number. When he got into trouble with the police and they told him to call, he didn't know my number. He had to call his friend. Those ones were now cussing him that what a shame. You don't have your wife's number. So sometimes he would go away for the weekend. I used to be very happy. I used to be very, very, those were the times I had peace.
Wow.
So,
wow.
It's never, hold on, guys. I'm going to mute my mic. Iri, I don't want you here. Excuse me. I told you I'm on the mic.
Can you tell us what your experience is?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, she mentioned
day and night.
Yeah, there was no peace. In fact, that was my major thing. Even before the marriage, there was no peace anyway. And I remember mentioning this to my pastor. I was even losing weight.
Sorry.
Just could not tell why there was no peace. And he was like, oh, don't worry, baby, you're overwhelmed with. Another thing is pastors should be careful. Honestly, they should be careful when they push people to marry people. Because if it was very sensitive, when I was mentioning, even before the marriage, I have no peace, like something wasn't right, felt anyway, I think you're just overwhelmed with it. So even through there was no peace, I can go to a church. There was one of these days I went to Mountain of Fire. The pastor they will pull me out. Sister, God just show me this. There is problem in your marriage. So you can anywhere I go. In fact, there was a time I was walking along the road and there were these youths who were just like preaching. One of them just walked up to me, excuse me, ma. As you just passed me, the Spirit of the Lord said, I should tell you, just don't worry, things will. I mean, this literally everywhere I go, they will just fish me out. The Lord will see you through what you're going through. So you know there was no peace. I know there was no peace at all. There was a time we went to Butlins, was it Spring Harvest? Some people who don't know me, Oyibo people who sat behind me, one of them, the elderly couple, they just walked up to me, say, oh, the Spirit of the Lord just ministered to us. And we went together. He too was there. In fact, they just said, people would call me, church members will call, daughter, I just feel I should pray with you. There was no peace. There was absolutely, so when you talk about peace before and all through, I had no peace. So that was like 24 hours for me. There was no peace. And then also I had dreams. I had loads of dreams that were coming to pass, dreams of this will happen, this is happening. In fact, there was one of this last dream I had before he left, where he locked me in the room. And that dream was, I think we were just both lying down in the bed, and there was a huge snake. And this snake was about to like swallow me. And guess what this man did? He successfully left. And as soon as he left, he shot me and locked the door inside. That was, I had loads of dreams where like it was not like this
Okay.
man was not on my side at all. He not with me. And then I had pastors. In fact, one of the last pastors told me, he said, "Daughter, if you like, use your head, hit this wall, and let blood come out of your head. This man does not love you." So I had many things. There were evidences, there were people, strangers calling me. So all these things were there. There was no peace at all. They had no peace. It reflected on my children. There was no peace nowhere. But as soon as they left, I don't know where peace came from.
Wow.
I don't know where peace, yeah. But that was it. With him, then, there was no peace at all.
Wow. 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 Amazing. Thank you very much for sharing this, because there's so many out there who need to hear this, suffering silently, you know. And I don't know, building a support system. I think we need to be more proactive in this situation. If we have people, I know if it's one of our children, and well, before I go there, we should note, I would note that it's not just men who abuse women. Some women to abuse men. Some women are the the lion who intimidates some men, but it's very rare cases, very rare cases. It's usually the men who do that. So when we say toxic relationship, we're talking of either man or woman being the victim and all that. Just thought I'd correct that. And there's a question here. He says, "I have a question for both of you. Wasn't there any red flags before the marriage when you were dating?" Yeah, I think they mentioned, I know E mentioned hers. I'm not sure T. I don't know if T or any of you can please answer that question. Were there no red flags before the marriage when you were dating?
Well, for me, the courtship was very short.
Like me.
So there were no red flags. In fact, let me tell you something. You know this song, African Queen? You are my African queen. I met him that year that the song came out. Hey, hey. I knew the lyrics back to back. He used to play it for me. So when you meet somebody like that, he couldn't, anything he wanted to do, it had to be both of us. If he was going any, because he had his own business then. And I was working at, because before I met him, I was working at Marks and Spencer's. There was something we used to call Dagbo then. You know, when they go and cut the NI thing for you, and, you start using it to work. So, I did one and I was working at Marks and Spencer. You see, I used to close at 6 p.m. 10 to 6, this guy would have left a voice note on my phone. I'm outside waiting. We didn't have the plan that he was, he was the sweetest guy you could ever meet. So, and the fact that, well, the only bit I would blame myself was, because my parents were insistent on getting married to a Muslim. So even though I had other suitors, but because of religious, differences, I kind of chose him over. But he was never abusive towards me while we were cutting and all that. This is somebody that he would, every month when he saw me, buying stuff for my period, he'd be like, "Are you not pregnant yet? Are you not?" So for me, honestly, there were no red flags. Though it was a very short courtship, I would say. So maybe if it was longer, maybe I would have, trust me, and I would have taken a walk.
Okay, thank you very much, T. How about E?
Oh, there were loads. There were loads. Like I said, one of them, like, you can't serve. If you serve, I call off the marriage. So that was things like that. You can't. And then let me give you. So where something happened, then I think before I had like a interdenominational fellowship where we meet, and then I saw this president one day. I haven't seen him for a long while, and mind you, I was part of that fellowship, and myself and my husband, we were not married then. So we went to a place like McDonald's in Nigeria, and then I saw this pastor. I was like, "Oh, Pastor Tony!" And gladly I was introducing him, like, "This is my husband to be," and everything. And he's a pastor. He travels a lot. I think he was in the US for a long time. So it's like, "Oh, these are my pictures. I know I may not see you again before your marriage and before you do your traditional marriage. So these are my pictures." So he gave me, I think, 1 or 2 pictures. And then, unfortunately, I just noticed his mood changed, but I didn't understand him. And mind you, it was a very short. We met in November, February. He's done my traditional marriage. So this was like December. Our courtship was really short. And then and this man was so upset. So by the time himself and his brother dropped me off, so I was asking, did anything happen? You just got suddenly quiet. He said, "How can a man give you a picture right in my presence?" I said, "No, that's my former president." And until I saw the picture before he became happy. So you could see those red flags. Another one was the person, Sister Bumi, I was engaged to in school. And I showed him, like this. I still have some of the pictures, like when people visit you, you show them pictures. And I was just showing pictures, university. And I'm like, "Oh, this was the person I was going to marry, blah, blah." But thank God I broke that relationship, not because of him. I'd broken because my pastors refused him. So I was just like, "Oh, this is the person I would have married if not for my pastor." And he was like, "How can you still have his picture?" I'm like, So I could hear that picture as well. When we were preparing for the traditional marriage, he got this person I was meant to marry at school got in touch with me. "So I heard you want to marry. Are you going to invite me?" I said, "I don't mind." When I told my so-called husband, it was like, "How dare you invite him?" So you could see those flags. I was seeing them, but I just felt like, and like,
It's
well, and all and I have never really been in a proper relationship. So this was like my main one. So I saw all these things, the control and everything. "Don't go here. You must not go. There's a wedding. You're going. You don't have to go to there." And I just kept following blindly like that. And I didn't know him for long. I knew him when he was young. His sister is my friend, and the big sisters were like big aunties to me. But that was it. So we met. So imagine meeting in December and marrying in February. We didn't know more. He was living in the UK. I was living in Nigeria. And I brought that as a concern to my pastor. And he said, "Don't worry, things will be fine. You guys will catch up." So that's the one last. So you met someone in December, you marry February. So what was I expecting before?
Yeah, thank you very much for relaying that experience to us. Someone says pastors' main duty is to preach the word of God, not to matchmake members, and members to seek their pastors out on issues they can handle themselves by thinking through. Thank you, Yemisi. Vimbai says most of these abusive people seem to be narcissistic tendencies, have narcissistic. I can't speak that. Narcissistic tendencies.
Narcissistic behavior.
Yes. Church members pushing the responsibility of making decisions for themselves on their pastors. That's it. When we unknowingly to us, it's just when things happen, we begin to realize how we have allowed humans to really take control of what we should have actually been doing. We have I don't want to go into that because it's not a religion. It's just to show that religion also plays a very great role in this DV, some people call it DV, domestic violence thing. And how can we, looking back now, how do you think we can stop this? We need to, I think we've been here for 1 hour, 18 minutes, and we need to round up. But it's been so interesting listening to this, and I'm sure people who will listen back to it would really be glad they did. So, are there final words? What do you think? As T is a Muslim, E is a Christian. What do you think about this? Because the whole thing hinges on religion. The religion that says, "Oh, you can't divorce." The religion that says, "Oh, you have to pray about it. You have to do this. You have to do that." Even somebody wrote recently. There was something they wrote, 1 Corinthians, saying, I wish I could read it, but like I said, let's stay out of the religious part. But looking at it, religion plays a very, very big role in making people stay stay in a domestic toxic relationship, what would you say to people who are still holding on despite hearing all this and think, oh, my own case is different, it's just once in a while he does this? It's at the same time, we're not we're not devil advocates. We don't want to break people's marriages. Some is just very little issues they have, they can always sort out with communication or therapy or all that. But what would you say to majority of the people who are still suffering in silence? Over to you, I think T, and then whatever it is you want to say finally as we round up. T, and then we go to E.
First of all, E, you mentioned something about short courtship. I beg to differ. Like my dad always said to me, because I know that I also questioned, because I did, my dad was my think tank. So I actually went back to him and I said, oh, maybe it was because our courtship was short. And my dad said, no. I met your mom. The year I met your mom was middle of the year. By December, she was pregnant with you and your sister, and we were already married. And they were married for 46 years. And I lived with them for 27 years before I decided to come down to the UK. Never for one day did I hear them argue or abuse themselves. And I remember I always asked my mom that, do you guys even fight at all? And she goes, yes, we do a lot, but we won't do it in front of you guys. And we resolve our issues, amicably. So what I would say is we need to watch what we do in front of our kids. If you know it is not right, walk away. It is not by force. Like my grandmother would say, he was not circumcised because of you. Yes, take a walk. Leave to live. If he has issues, first of all, for the first time, Pastor Mrs. What's her name now? Adejuma. For the first time, because I don't really agree with most things she says, but I watched her live yesterday and I loved everything she said on the live. She actually reprimanded pastors to stop abusing power. When someone is going through, how can somebody be going through domestic violence and you're telling the person to go and read Psalm 90? Are you crazy? And people should stop idolizing. It's not just pastors now, whether pastors, Muslims, stop idolizing them. They are human beings like you. If you develop yourself spiritually, you will get to the point that when you pray, you will see things, you will hear voices. Stop idolizing. You will not idolize your parents. You'll be idolizing Daddy Gio and Mommy Gio. Stop idolizing them. That is even abuse on its own. That's bullying. Do not give your life to a fellow human being. We live in the UK. Who are the people that goes to churches here? Elderly people. You will never see. Look at Nigeria. I went to Nigeria and I went to Oshogbo. I was in tears from Lagos to Oshogbo. That expanse of land, all we had were churches and mosques. No factories being developed. You will never see somebody who is in their mid-year, 30s, 40s going to church. But in Nigeria, it's a different ballgame entirely. How can somebody wake up and say he wants to build a multi-million naira church auditorium? For what? People just need to start thinking, start using your brain, stop being lackadaisical, stop being complacent. Believe in yourself, love yourself. If you love yourself, you will know when you are being abused. If you love yourself, you will listen to when people are telling you are being abused. Lack of self-esteem is part of the problem as well. You need to believe in yourself. Know your worth. Know your worth. If you are not working and you're in an abusive relationship, leave first. If it's pure water, start selling. But take a walk first. I left no papers, I didn't have anything to my name apart from the gold that I had. But I took a walk. Today I have papers. Today I have a fantastic job. Today I'm married. If I didn't give myself that opportunity, Would I have known what would have happened? Stop second guessing yourself. That's my own. You need to love yourself that much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Love yourself. Love yourself. And so thank you very much, T. Thank you very much. Finally, I know the community where you got support was part of what helped you to pull through. I think the church community you belong to, well, yes, you had so many voices around you, but the one you belonged to was even very helpful for you to be able to come out of that relationship without feeling, feeling too
Bad.
without still being psychiatrically, mentally down. So they helped you pull through. So what would you say? What would you say finally to people who, yes, maybe they belong to a community? How would they harness the opportunities in that community rather than being controlled by that community?
I think if let me just speak from a Christian view. If you're a Christian, have a relationship with God, because what my community helped me was only like a confirmation of things I already had. Because like I said, I had dreams. I knew inside of me, you see, these things is not hard. You know, you've got that feelings that you need to leave. But sometimes you just need the right community just to confirm it. So I knew I had so many dreams. I had so many instances. Like I said, people see me on the street, they call me, you're going through this, you're going through this, like I had people calling me here and there that I needed to leave at a point. And I knew from my spirit, I needed to leave. Even my brain was telling me to leave. I needed to move on, but I just didn't have the confidence to move. So the community I found myself, they were quite enlightened to say, you know what, you need to, in fact, my pastor's wife today fights against domestic violence, is what she preaches about. She goes everywhere. She holds, talks on domestic violence. So these were just like confirmation to pull me through. So also, please, you have a mind of your own. You should know. You know when things are not right. Not the pastors, not people, you don't need approval. Like Steve said, you don't need approval from people to tell you something is wrong. Women, we've got this, that feeling. You just know that things are not right. So use your brain. Please forget religion. Use your brain. You can see when things are not right for your children. Use your brain. Please take religion out and use your brain. When you need to move, please move out. You don't need approval from people. You are the one wearing the shoes and you know what you're going through. If Osinachin had used her brain rather than thinking, if I'm divorced or if I'm separated, nobody will invite me to sing anymore, she would have left. But because of what people will say, she rather died there. And that's why she died in such a sad way. Please use your brain. Things are not working well. Mentally, you're going down. Please use your brain and just get out. That's
Yes, get out, use your brain, live to live. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you all. I don't know how to express my gratitude to how you are adding value to the lives of people who need this information. Yes, we spent 1 hour, almost 1 hour, 30 minutes, but it's been a pleasure having you share your story. And so please, viewers, if you still have questions, please bring it on, because the two survivors here are ready to share their experiences with you on how to solve, whatever problem you're going through when you're going through domestic violence, what numbers to call, or, things like that. I think I have something on the screen I wanted to share. So finally, I'll say, please don't die in silence. Don't die in silence. You've heard it all from those who know better, and they have just shared with us what we need to know. So please, there are numbers to call. You have a support system, you have friends, you have family. Nobody dropped from heaven. We're all born somewhere, even if it's people outside your country. Like T said, it had to involve her own parents to, speak, interact with her mind to tell her this is what you're supposed to be doing. And then you had a community where was in, where they helped her pull through. So please, let's develop a support system. When you're an island, hey, it's very dangerous when you are an island on your own. It's just me and my family. When that things start happening, you won't have anywhere to go to. So please, there are times when we need to build a trusted support system around ourselves so that if anything happens, you have where to run to. You have where to go to. I can imagine if T didn't leave that house that night, where would she have been to? She had a friend. E also had, people who were always helping her out with, things, parents coming in and helping with childcare and all that. Please, let's develop a trusted support system around ourselves. Let's not die in silence. If not for Sinach, who had someone to talk to about it, even though that person should have. That's something that kept going in my mind. That person that was she confided in. Why did that person not just take a step? If they had put that man in jail before she died, I'm sure she'll still be alive to tell the story. But it's a sad case. So when we are told things, please, we can ask for help. And let's be proactive. There is someone else. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for this. Okay, so we call it a wrap, and thank you very much for coming in to support. Please share the video and let people learn. Thank you very much. And I say bye from now. Bye for now till I see you in the next video. Take care. Thank you, E. Thank you, T. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Ubi, you need to include 999.
Oh, okay. Before I stop it. Okay, 999. All right. So 999. Please call 999 as well. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. I enjoy your evening. I'll speak to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, everyone who was here to support Kike Lamore, Helen,